I'm Jess, and this is Japan. Hey everybody, hope you're doing well. So for today's video, I thought we'd talk about a topic that is actually a point of culture shock for me when I first moved to Japan way back when, and that is the use of face masks. So face masks are used in Japan pretty normally. Like the first time I saw them when I moved to Japan, I was like, it looked to me as an American, it looked like a bunch of like surgeons or nurses walking around, but it's just normal day-to-day people, and people will wear them for different reasons. So one reason is when you get sick, when you have a cold, you're coughing, you're sneezing, whatever. It's to kind of prevent that from reaching more people. You know, there's a lot of crowded trains, especially in Tokyo. Sometimes you can't reach your arm up to cover your mouth, so that mask needs to be in the way to kind of block that off. And it's just kind of a form of social etiquette when you are sick, or when other people are getting sick and you kind of want to put an extra barrier in between you and them. A mask is a good way to do that. Also, a lot of people in Japan suffer from hay fever every spring. So when people who are sensitive to pollen, you know, go out and it's all up in the air and blowing around, and it tends to be pretty windy as well. And so they'll wear face masks to kind of keep pollen from getting into their system and giving them a hard time. For me personally, I tended to wear them, like I used to work in schools, and I tended to wear them when I did feel sick, not necessarily because they can't prevent spread 100%, obviously. It was more to give kind of a signal that, hey, I'm sick, you might want to stay away, or it was kind of to show like, hey, I'm not gonna be 100% energy today, I don't have much of a voice today, whatever. It was more of an outward signal, so I didn't have to have that conversation of, oh, I'm not feeling so well, like over and over and over. People see you wearing a mask, they either assume, oh, they're not feeling well, or they don't want to catch something, or, you know, for me it was more of a signal to other people, as well as kind of a psychological boost to me. Like, it kind of had a placebo effect. I mean, I know that it wasn't necessarily making me better when I had a cold, but it just made me feel better, to feel like I was doing something. You know, it's also really good when there's like dry air, and it helps to like kind of keep the moisture up in your throat and your nasal passage, all that good stuff. Recently in Japan, it's been really, really difficult to find masks anywhere. Usually they'll have them at the drugstore, they'll have them at the convenience store, grocery store. Nobody has them right now. And so I thought it might be a good idea, since I'm into crafting, it's one of my hobbies. You can actually make your own mask at home using fabric. They do sell filters here, like little like rectangle filters that you can actually slip into your fabric mask to actually add a layer of like actual filtration. People have been making them at home, have been sewing them at home for a number of reasons. For students who, in public schools, they actually serve their classmates lunch. So the food gets delivered to each classroom. Their classmates will come up with their trays, with their bowls, and they'll scoop out rice, and they'll scoop out soup or whatever, if there's fish, whatever. And to keep them from, you know, getting their own germs on the food, they will have their own mask. And so a lot of times, parents will be tasked with, you know, either providing masks or making masks for their kids to wear during that lunchtime duty. So I thought it would be great for me to show you guys how a mask is made. I haven't made one before, this is the first time, but I do have some sewing under my belt. So today I've got a pattern actually from a big craft store here in Japan called Yuzawaya. So they had several different styles of mask. I chose a mask that's actually kind of form-fitting to your face. So this is actually half, so this will actually be reflected, and it'll kind of curve and form to your face. I don't know how to show this. There were other masks. There are actually a lot of pleated masks, and then there are more simple ones that are literally just a fabric square. So I thought I would try this one, and you guys can follow along with me. They also have their own YouTube video on how to make this one in particular, and I'll go ahead and link it for you guys. The pattern is in Japanese, so I just thought I would give you guys some English instructions as well. I'm sure there's lots of other tutorials and things out there that you can find and follow. But yeah, shall we? Itadakimasu. Let's dig in. Okay, so let me show you what materials I'm working with today. So we've got two kinds of gauze. I really like the combination of like gold and like this kind of dark aquamarine. And then for the back side, I've got this just a plain kind of mustard yellow. These are both very, very soft gauze. It's very nice to touch. I wish I could let you guys feel it. Before you go ahead and sew with gauze, you wanna just soak it in some water, lay it out, either flat to dry or hang it up. And that's just because it will shrink a little bit. So what we're gonna do is I have traced this pattern here. So this is mine, this is just a piece of notebook paper. This curved bit, this is gonna go in the middle of your face. This is gonna be where it's sewn together, so we have a 1 centimeter seam allowance right here. And we've got 1 centimeter, that's the seam allowance for this side, and this side. And then back here, it changes based on which piece you're looking at. So we're gonna cut out 2 pieces each for the front and the back, so that's 4 pieces in total. 2 pieces for the front are gonna have a 3 centimeter seam allowance back here. 1 piece for the back is going to have a 2 centimeter seam allowance, and the other is going to have 1 centimeter. We needed that extra centimeter back. The cool Japanese style ruler. That's better. Yeah. So this can be used for another one if I want to make another one. The reason these ones don't matter so much is because it's the same on both sides. All of our pieces. So we're ready to get sewing. Okay, so first things first, I've put these 2 front pieces together. This is called the right side. This is the part that faces out. This is called the wrong side. So with right sides together, we're gonna stitch right down the center seam. So we're going to do a centimeter down that center seam. See? And looks like that. So if you'll remember, one of the edges of the back of the mask. One was a centimeter longer than the other. What we're going to do is we're going to fold that, we're going to roll it basically in thirds and stitch it down, and that's going to be the opening to our pocket for the filter. That looks like that. We're going to use this material I actually haven't used before. So in Japanese they called it bone tape. So I'm guessing that means it's boning tape, which I have actually used before. And this is actually a backup plan because the pattern calls for what they call setup tape. It's the first time I've come across it, so I'm not sure what the English name would be. I don't know if it's just another kind of boning tape, but it's basically what's going to help the mask keep its shape when it's on your face. And so it's very stiff. This is made from plastic. It needs to be sewn on kind of the top bit of the mask around here. Yeah, so this is where it says just put it here. See, now it has a shape. Okay, so it's time to sew our two pieces together. So we have the outside and the inside. We want to do right sides together so that when you turn it inside out, it'll be right side out. When we do eventually flip this inside out, that seam's going to be hidden inside. Okay, so now we're going to do the bottom, same exact way. Okay, so now we're going to turn this inside out. It's going to look like this. This is the front. And that boning tape helps it keep its shape. Like that. Okay, so we're going to do a couple more things and then we'll be done. So first, I just want to make sure and get as close to the actual seam as possible because we're going to do a top stitch. A top stitch is just like it sounds. You do a stitch on top just to keep things in place. So we're actually going to go across the top of the mask like that and the bottom of the mask like that, really close to the edge just to keep the fabric pinched down. Okay, we're actually going to iron this just press the edges before we top stitch them. Those are nice and pressed, and we're going to sew those up. So we're going to do a top stitch. I'm going to do it as close to the edge of the fabric as I can. Alright, it looks good. It's real nice and neat. Alright, so our last step is going to be rolling up these sides here and threading through the bands that go around your ears. I actually chose this stretch satin ribbon, so it's a elastic band, but it's very soft. I wanted something that like looked nice, you know, like not just some, you know, hairband type elastics, but something a little bit more comfortable. I'm gonna measure out 30 centimeters here. I'm just gonna go ahead and mark it and then just cut it. Got two 31 centimeter pieces. So what I want to do is stitch these together. So I want to take 1 centimeter and just overlap it like that, and then stitch it so that it stays in a loop. So I've cut off about 10 centimeters of the elastic. This is a little bit too long. I'm going to overlap it by about 1 centimeter and stitch a little X into it. So yeah, it doesn't have to look pretty, it just has to be strong. Here's our finished product. I think it looks really cute. So again, I did make a couple mistakes along the way, but that's okay for my first attempt, I think. And it's going to be perfectly functional. So again, this where the setup tape or the boning tape is, so that is meant to be sewn on the back side. So that's done on the inside of this back piece before you sew the front and back together. Plus the trouble I had with the loops. Just if you're using a wider elastic, go ahead and give yourself some more wiggle room for those loops. This part has been left open so I can put one of those disposable filters in. I think they come in large packs, like large quantities, and you just use them and toss them. Because I've used boning tape, the instructions on the boning tape actually say that you cannot put this in the washing machine. Probably hand wash is your best bet.
No one cared who I was till I put on the mask.
So I hope you guys enjoyed today's video. I hope you guys are hanging in there, and I hope that this was enjoyable, that it was helpful, and that you learned a little bit about mask culture in Japan. If you want to know more, as always, please head on over to our website at itadakimasujapan.net, and there'll be more info for you in the description, and we will see you next time. Bye bye!